Hello everyone. Let's start today with revision of chapter Light, and let's discuss some questions related to the chapter. Here, let's have a quick glance at the important points of the chapter. Light, the natural agent that stimulates sight and makes things visible, is called as light. Light is reflected from all surfaces and it is a form of energy. So we can say that light is a form of energy that gives a sensation of vision. Objects that give out light on their own are called luminous objects, and objects that do not give out light on their own are called non-luminous objects. They just reflect light that falls on them. And when light reflected from an object enters into our eyes, the object becomes visible to us. What is reflection of light? The bouncing back of light after striking a shiny or polished surface in the same medium is called reflection. There are two types of reflections, regular reflection and irregular reflection. When a beam of parallel light rays is incident on a smooth and plane surface, the reflected rays will also be parallel. This type of reflection is called regular reflection. For example, reflection from a plane mirror. But when light is incident upon a rough or uneven surface, it is reflected in many directions due to presence of irregularities on that surface. And this type of reflection is called irregular or diffused reflection. If a reflected light ray is reflected again on being incident on another surface, it is termed multiple reflection. Multiple reflections are used in periscopes, and periscopes are used in submarines, war tanks, and by soldiers in bunkers to see objects that are not visible directly. Even in a kaleidoscope, beautiful patterns are formed due to multiple reflections. There are certain laws of reflection. First, very important law of reflection is that the angle of reflection is equal to the angle of reflection. And second, the incident ray, reflected ray, and the normal drawn at the point of incidence to the reflecting surface lie in the same plane. Lateral inversion. It is the effect produced by a plane mirror in reversing images from left to right. For example, our left hand will appear as right and vice versa. When we see an image formed in plane mirror, this image formed has particular characteristics. The image which is formed in a plane mirror is always of the same size as that of the object. It is left-right inverted. The image formed is erect and virtual. It is always formed behind the mirror at the same distance as the distance of the object in front of the mirror. Now, two mirrors inclined to each other gives multiple images. Sunlight is also called white light, which is consisting of 7 colors. And this white light, when it gets splitted into its constituent colors, We call this process as dispersion. And a normal eye can see nearby and distant objects clearly. A normal eye can see nearby and distant objects clearly due to adjustment by the lens which is present in the eye, and this is known as accommodation of eye. We all can see things clearly because we all have vision, but visually challenged person, they cannot read and write the normal way we do. So these people, they can also read and write using Braille system. Visually challenged persons develop their other senses more sharply to improve their interaction with their environment. Now, here is a list of parts of human eye. First is cornea, which is a transparent bulge on the front surface of eyeball which protects the eye and helps in refraction of light. Second is iris, which is the colored diaphragm behind the cornea controlling the amount of light entering the eye. Third is pupil, dark hole in the middle of iris through which light enters the eye. Fourth part is eye lens, which is transparent, crystalline structure behind pupil and iris. Number 5, ciliary muscles hold the eye lens in position. It holds the eye lens in position and control the focal length of the eye lens. Retina is the surface of the rear part of the eyeball where the light entering the eye is focused. So that means this is the part where image is formed. Rods and cones are the cells present on the retina. Rod cells respond to the brightness of light, while cone cells respond to colors. Blind spot. It is the least sensitive point on the retina where no rods and cones are present, hence no image is formed on this part. Let's have a look at some questions. Question first, define dispersion of light. What is dispersion of light, children? The splitting of light into its constituent colors is called as dispersion of light. Second, name the colors in the order they appear in the spectrum of light. And if you all know, this is commonly called as Vlll, which is, what is that Vlll? Vlll is, V is for violet, I is for indigo, B is for blue, G is for green, Y is for yellow, O is orange, and R is red. So this is the order of the colors which appear in the spectrum of light. Question 3. What is the angle of incidence of a ray if the reflected ray is at an angle of 90 degree to the incident ray? Here, as given, if this is the normal, and what is the angle of incidence of ray? That means we need to find the angle of incident ray with the normal. And what is given is the angle formed between the incident ray and reflected ray is 90 degree. If it is 90 degree, then according to law of reflection, these two angles are equal. If total is 90 and these two angles are equal, that means each angle should be what? Yes, each angle should be of 45 degree. So that means the angle formed by incident ray and the normal is 45 degree. Question 4. What are the two factors responsible for an object to be seen? Here what we need is, first of all, the person needs vision, and second, light. Presence of light is important. Question 5. What is meant by normal? Normal is a perpendicular drawn at point of incidence. Define the angle of incidence. The angle formed by incident ray and normal is called angle of incidence. Question 7. What name is given to the angle between normal and the reflected ray? What is it called, children? Yes, it is called angle of reflection. Question number 8 is, when the reflected rays are parallel, what type of reflection is taking place? If the reflected rays are parallel, the type of reflection is regular. Question 9. In irregular reflection, are the reflected rays parallel or not? No. In irregular reflection, the reflected rays are not parallel. Question 10. What are luminous objects? The objects which give out their own light are called luminous objects. What are illuminated objects? The objects which do not give out their own light, but they reflect the light falling on them are called illuminated objects. Question 12. Name the device which uses the principle of multiple images. What is it? Yes, kaleidoscope. What is white light? White light is a combination of seven colors light. Right? There are 7 colors in the white light, and generally it is actually the sunlight which is called as white light. Question 14. Give one example of natural dispersion. A very good example of natural dispersion is rainbow. Question 15. What is the function of cornea? The function of cornea is protection of the internal part of the eye. Question 16. What type of lens is present in the eye? The lens present in the eye is a convex lens. Question 17. For how long does the image of an object persist on the retina? Can you guess? It is for 1/16. For 1/16 seconds, the image persists on the retina. Question 18. What is meant by accommodation? Human eye can see near and far objects by adjusting the length of the convex lens, which is called as accommodation of eye. What is the minimum distance at which an eye can see? And the answer is 25 centimeters. Question 20. Which vitamin is responsible for eye defect? You all know which vitamin is important for good vision? Correct. It is vitamin A. So deficiency of vitamin A can cause eye defects. Here we have match the columns. Let's read column B first. What all is given? Reflected ray, reflection, normal and incident ray. Column A first is a perpendicular drawn on the surface of mirror at the point of incidence. This is a perpendicular drawn, so this answer is normal. Second, a ray of light that falls on a mirror. The ray which falls on the mirror is the incident ray. Next, a ray of light that bounces back after striking the mirror. The ray of light which bounces back is definitely called as reflected ray. Returning of a ray of light to the same medium after hitting a surface. Means after hitting a surface, returning back of light is called as reflection. Here we have one more set of match the column. In column B, what are answers are given? Dispersion, Vlll system, multiple reflection, regular reflection, diffuse reflection. Now, first is when light is incident on smooth, polished and regular surface, then it is called regular reflection. It will result into regular reflection. Second, reflection from rough surface. If this reflection is from rough surface, then it will give rise to irregular or diffuse reflection. Visually challenged person can read and write using which system? What do they use? Which script they use? They use Vlll system. Splitting of light into its constituent colors. Splitting of light into its constituent colors is called dispersion of light. Beautiful patterns are formed in a kaleidoscope due to, yes, we see beautiful patterns in a kaleidoscope because of multiple reflection. So that's all with the questions for light chapter. I hope we have revised enough.